3, 2, 1, it's happening. Oh my god. I love cannibals and women doing whatever they want. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Good for her. Oh my god. A little lame-o. That's for me. Fabulous. Not great. This is gross. Hi. I'm Sam. There's quite literally no one asking me to do this, but I have decided to read a bunch of new releases, and I thought I'd make a video about it. So I'm usually not super fast to read new releases, but I don't know, there just seems to be like a lot of bangers coming out this year. So yeah, I picked up some new releases and I'm gonna read them and tell you if they're good. So I have 6 here. So the first one is Vulgaris by Margie Sarsfield. So it looks like Elise and her boyfriend Tom are going to Minnesota to participate or work on like a beet farm and do the sugar beet harvest. And they're hoping that the money that they get from this will fund their Brooklyn apartment that they're wanting to rent. But then as they are doing this manual labor, she starts noticing kind of weird stuff starts happening. Threatening phone calls, a mysterious rash, and snatches of an ominous voice coming from the beet pile. Her coworkers begin to vanish. It really seems like it's going to be like a classic horror where it's like the horror is metaphor for like unresolved shit from her past. But I love that. And this cover is super cool, so I hope I like this one. This is one of them. Next is the new release by my girl Emily Austin, So We Could Be Rats. I have read all of Emily Austin's books, except for her poetry. I've read all her novels, let me say that. I think this is about 2 sisters, and one of them is like very suicidal, and the other one is trying to make her stay alive. Oh my god. The main character's name's Sigrid, and she works at the Dollar Pal. That's amazing. Yeah, honestly, I kind of want to go into this as blind as possible because all of Emily Austin's books are like, we have this cuckoo crazy bananas lady that we're following as she does cuckoo crazy bananas stuff, and that's kind of like my bread and butter. So I am in the capable hands of Emily Austin. I'll let you know how this stacks up against her other books. And then the last library book is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. This has a fabulous cover. We're following a little girl named Margot who lives with her mom in a forest in like a cottage. Oh, this is cannibals. Okay, I think I just like saw the cover and like the title and I was like, that's for me, you know? But now it seems like it's even more for me. Okay, so Margot's a child. She lives with her mom. Whenever they have like strangers who get lost in the woods, they basically like drug them and eat them. Okay, cool. And then it seems like someone comes into their little sanctuary and disrupts it, changes the dynamics, and then I'm sure that that's gonna like move the plot along. That sounds good to me. I love cannibals and women doing whatever they want. And then the next 3 I bought. Shy Girl by Mia Ballard. Could not get from my library, and when I tried to request it on interlibrary loan, they were like, bitch, this was just released. No one's gonna give this to us from another library because they're having to give it to like everybody and their brother who wants it. So I was like, fine, I'll buy it, you know? But I love this cover. We're following kind of another cuckoo, mentally ill woman trying to navigate the world, and she is lonely, broke, and depressed with a serious case of OCD, and then she becomes like a sugar baby, basically. In exchange for living as his devoted pet, all her debts will be erased. But the longer Gia is in captivity, the more animalistic she becomes. So I think it's gonna be like Nightbitch if instead of it's being about motherhood, it's about like trying to navigate the world as a young female in late stage capitalism. That sounds good. I hope it is good because that cover is really pretty and I would love to keep it. Okay, and then the next 2, it's like I could get them from the library, but it was just gonna take forever, and I was like, I need them now. So the ADHD won that day, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I hope they're good and then I'll be happy. But this one is Strange Pictures by Uketsu, and this was translated by Jim Ryan. I literally like just heard about this author, but I guess he has like a cult following online. Yeah, I don't know. This just seemed intriguing to me because it's like a mystery horror, but throughout there's like a bunch of these like little weird sketches. They're like clues of the mystery. Structured around 9 childlike drawings, everyone holding a disturbing clue, this novel invites readers to piece together the harrowing truth behind each and the overarching backstory that connects them all. I don't know. That just seems really cool to me. So I hope that that is good. And then the last one is The Unworthy by Agustina Bazterrica, and this was translated by Sarah Moses. So I loved Tender as the Flesh, so I wasn't too sad about having to buy this one, and I got the like Barnes & Noble edition, so it's got the black edged pages and the inside is really pretty. This is about a woman who is living in like a post-apocalyptic dystopian world. It definitely seems like it's like our future. She is living in this convent, cloistered away from the climate catastrophe that has plunged unleash the world into chaos. So she's in this convent for this group called the Sacred Sisterhood. There's like different rankings and she's part of the unworthies. Again, it kind of seems similar to The Lamb where there's this very like set environment and then an outsider comes and throws everything into disarray. So a newcomer comes and disturbs the convent. But yeah, I love Agustina Bazterrica. To be fair, I've technically only read one book by her, but I really liked it. So I hope I like this one too. So those are the books. I'm gonna read them and tell you if they're good. Hi everyone, I've read 4 books and I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on them. Of these 4, 2 of them were 5-star reads. I kind of cannot believe that, but I'm thrilled that that is the case. So I'm gonna start with the ones that I didn't like as much and work my way up to the ones I liked. Guys, The Unworthy was not good. I regret to say I didn't like this. I gave this 2 stars. This was very disappointing, especially compared to how much I loved Tender is the Flesh. If you had made me guess who wrote this, I would not have guessed Agustina Bazterrica. This didn't feel like the same voice to me. And like evil post-apocalyptic convent sounds fabulous. So I don't know how she fumbled so badly with this, but it was not a hit for me. And this is especially disappointing because the opening page of this book is fabulous, but then it just kind of like doesn't live up to that. Someone is screaming in the dark. I hope it's Lourdes. I put cockroaches in her pillow and sewed up the slip, so they struggle to get out. So they crawl under her head or over her face and into her ears, I hope, nesting there, the nymphs damaging her brain. I left small gaps between the stitches so the cockroaches would escape slowly, so it would take effort, like when I trap them, imprison them, in my hands. Some of them bite. They have flexible skeletons. They can flatten themselves and fit through tiny spaces, live without heads for days, survive underwater for a long time. They are fascinating. I like to experiment with them, cut off their antennae, their legs, stick needles in them. I squash them with a glass so I can linger over their primitive, brutal frames. I boil them, I burn them, I kill them. Like, what the hell? That is fab. Why could that not have carried over through the rest of the book? I also wrote in my reading journal a little bit about The Unworthy. I kind of felt drowned in the symbolism and metaphor. And while some of the writing was quite beautiful, it didn't feel substantial enough for that to be what the book rests on, which would have been fine if the plot was better. This is a pretty standard dystopian horror where the horror is not primarily the end of the world, but the other people, the other survivors. The collapse of society also means the collapse of the facade of morality. This particular story is the religious flavor, a la Handmaid's Tale, which I have enjoyed before, but this didn't feel like it was really doing anything new. This dealt with violence against women, particularly how religious organizations perpetrate violence against women, even if it's in direct violation of the church's supposed teachings, and ultimately seek to control women. This had a sapphic subplot that I also feel wasn't all that remarkable. The big shock horror moments felt few and far between, and they popped up unexpectedly, but not in a way that felt purposeful as a means to unnerve or disorient the reader, more so in a way that felt jarring and kind of took me out of the reading experience. There were 3 passages that were kind of cool, so I can share those with you. What is it like to hear the words emitted by the mouth of God? Are they small, ephemeral explosions? Does his tongue cradle death? I'm in the tree hollow in my woods. I understand now that the woods is not just trees, that it could never be reduced in that way. It's the subterranean microscopic life, the aerial life, all that reverberates with the splendor of a living cathedral. The light that filters through the leaves forms translucent columns, a radiant sea expanding. I can feel the aura, the power that pulses through the air. I can touch it. I can caress the warm, gleaming particles of light with my fingertips. I'm part of this pagan temple, this ancestral sanctuary. So those were the 3 passages that I deemed worthy of a sticky tab, but even now reading them back to you, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what are you saying? It doesn't actually stick in my mind after I'm finished reading it. And that kind of is the case for the whole book. I really don't know how much of this I'm going to remember a month from now. I didn't feel connected to any of the characters, any of the plot. The most awful fucked up shit would happen to a character, and I'd just be like, okay, who cares? Such a letdown, honestly. I don't know, I don't think you should read this one. I didn't think it was that good. Next, I read and finished The Lamb by Lucy Rose. This, I would say, I liked. I I didn't love it, but I think it's sort of like 3.75 stars. So I would recommend it. I wouldn't dissuade you from reading it. This was indeed about a young girl and her mother who are cannibals living in this cottage in the forest. And it was indeed that when this woman comes into their little ecosystem, it disrupts their peace and homeostasis. So I did write my reading journal a little bit about this. So I did initially have a ton of fun with this, but now that more time has passed since I've read it, I don't really know how much of it I'll remember. This was very atmospheric and deliciously grotesque, but the characters felt a bit flat to me, especially the side characters. I wouldn't say that they were totally worthless, but they didn't feel like they were used to their fullest potential, so they felt incredibly flat. I am gonna get into spoilers a little bit here because I want to talk to you about the ending, and I have like an alternate ending that I think would have been better. And by better, I just mean it's like tropes that I enjoy more. So I'm gonna get into spoilers for the ending of The Lamb. This is your warning. If you do not want this book to be spoiled, you should skip to whatever timestamp. I'll have a chapter that you can skip to. This is your final warning. I'm gonna spoil The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I very rarely go into spoilers, but I want to because I want to talk about my ending. Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's happening. Oh my God. The Lamb by Lucy Rose ends with the narrator, so the child, getting killed and eaten by her mother and this woman who comes into their home named Eden. And then Eden and the mother die because the narrator was poisoning herself and the stock that they cooked her in with hemlock prior to her death. And now that I'm like explaining it to you, I do think that's a fine ending and I like that ending. However, I think that it could have ended a different way that I think I would have maybe liked a little bit more. So one of the side characters that Margot is close with is the bus driver, right? He's sort of like the closest thing she has to a father figure. He seems to actually kind of care about her because her mom's just does not seem mentally stable, and I mean obviously she's like raising her to be a cannibal, so not great. Okay, so that's one thing. And then when Mother and Eden first hatched the plan to kill and eat Margot, they say that they're gonna stage her getting like hit by a vehicle, and they're basically just gonna like spread some of her blood and maybe like a body part, and then make the case that she got hit and then, you know, went off into the woods and then just disappeared and died. So then shortly after they make that plan, Margot is able to escape from where they have her imprisoned in the house. And she's running through the woods and she's able to escape for a short period of time. And what I think would have been a much cooler and like shocking ending would have been if while Margot was running through the woods to try and escape from Mother and Eden, she ran into the road and actually did get hit and killed by a vehicle. But then I think like an even more like brutal and heartbreaking layer of that would have been if the person who hit her and killed her was the bus driver. And then what would have made it even more grim and even more heartbreaking is if the bus driver fled the scene and did not take responsibility for killing Margot, because that would have just been like rubbing salt in the wound, because that, like I said, was the one person who seems to give a shred of attention and actual care to Margot. So I think having the bus driver flee the scene of the accident would effectively show that no one ever truly cared about Margot. No one ever actually stepped up and put her before themselves. I'm a sucker for a really bleak ending. I'm a sucker for people dying completely alone. I think that this ending is like everyone's miserable. I love the bleakest possible ending because this would have left Mother and Eden thwarted from their plan and their meal and their satisfaction. This would have left the bus driver, I mean, I'm not gonna feel bad for him because he's a piece of shit that fled the scene of committing vehicular manslaughter, but he's gonna have to live with that for the rest of his life. That's gonna make him miserable. And then we have Margot dead, leaving this world completely alone. She never had a single person who actually gave a shit about her. I just think that would have been a very bleak ending, but I love the vindictiveness of Margot kind of dosing herself with hemlock leading up to Mother and Eden eating her. I love that she kind of like got the last laugh in that sense, but I don't know, I just think like maybe my ending would have been a little cooler. I personally would have liked it a little more. I guess you can let me know, but what can I say? I love a bleak ending. So I think if you are interested in the story, I think you should read it. I had a fun time with it. And then once you read it and you know how it ends, come back and watch this again and watch the spoiler part so you can tell me what you think of my alternate ending that I came up with. Now the 2 5-stars, guys. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, first of the 2 is Strange Pictures by Uketsu, translated by Jim Ryan. Y'all, I was hyperfixating on this for so long, and I finally got it from my library. Immediately, it just like gave me creepypasta vibes, which I love. So I think I aptly explained what this is about. We're like following various people from various timelines who are connected to this mystery in some way. And throughout, there's these pictures that one would maybe describe as strange, that are related to the mystery and act as like clues to solving the mystery. I just ate this up. I gobbled it up. It was so fun. Very creepypasta, internet horror. I eat that up. I think it's such a fun time. I give this 5 stars not because it's a perfect book. It's like a 5-star of my heart, you know? Like in my heart and my soul, I just had a 5-star time with it. I think this was also really impressive because like the timelines and the different people and the different points of view, starting out, I was like, how the are these people even remotely connected? And then by the end, you're like, oh my God, how did they think of this? And like, I don't know, maybe I'm easy to please. Maybe some of you will read this and be like, bro, I saw that from a mile away. But for me, I don't know. I just was able to like let go and like let myself be taken on this journey. And I feel like I wasn't like really trying to solve the mystery myself. I was sort of just like, tell me what the picture means, because this is cool, you know? So here's what I wrote in my reading journal about Strange Pictures. This kept me so intrigued. I loved the incorporation of the pictures into the story, and I feel like they were used so well. One negative is that the final twist is revealed with still kind of a bit of the book to go, so then the last 20 to 30 pages weren't as thrilling. And the ending was also a little lame-o, but I think that's just like me having like a cold dead heart. But at the end of the day, I had a super fun time with this one, and I gave it 5 stars, and I think you should absolutely read this. This is a new release that you should be prioritizing, guys. Uketsu already has another book coming out, I think later this year in the summer, called Strange Houses. Absolutely going to be buying that on publication day because I just had such a fun time with this, and I would love to read more of their work. Okay guys, and then lastly is a book that I am like shocked I enjoyed as much as I did. I thought this was going to be like a 3-star for sure. I don't know, I think I just have like a negative view of new releases. I think I just worry that new releases get really hyped up because everyone is so excited about the shiny new book that it's hard to actually like know if it's actually well received or like actually well liked. But I loved this one, guys. That is Shy Girl by Mia Ballard. This was fucking insane, okay? This has like a little pastel cute cover. This is gross. This is horror. This is gore, okay? I loved that. But then also like, what is this? I've never annotated a horror book before. So this was like the perfect blend of sort of like depressed, mentally ill woman lit fic and just the grossest shit you've ever read, which like I guess is my sweet spot, guys. Fucking love this, and I absolutely think you should read this. This was very similar to Strange Pictures in that, is this an objectively 5-star book? No, it's not. It's a 5-star for me, though. This is what I wrote in my reading journal. My mind is boggled and my gobs are smacked. This was so fab. Not only did I love the writing style, but the moments of horror were truly gut-wrenching and shocking. Early on, our main character is quite naive about how this setup will go, and honestly, it was written so well that even I was quite naive about how horrific it was gonna get, even despite the author's warning note at the beginning of the book. For some reason, I thought this was going to be more like Nightbitch vibes, where it's not super horror heavy, but Shy Girl is full-on horror. I think this is the first full-blown horror I've ever annotated. I loved this book. I also loved the author's note at the end because she was able to articulate something about revenge that I love but haven't been able to articulate myself. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Good for her. So yeah, guys, I loved this book. I don't think I can remember a time when I've ever read so many 5-star reads in such a short period of time. Like, I am being smiled down upon by the reading gods. Okay, so pink tabs are like, oh, I love the writing. And then blue tabs are like, that's the grossest shit I've ever read in my life, but in a good way. I'm home alone and I definitely thought I heard a noise, but I can't find anyone, so they're either hiding and gonna kill me later or it's a ghost. So Either way, it's not looking good. But Shy Girl is a fantastic book, and I think you should definitely read it if you can handle pretty intense gore and body horror. So I won't read any of the gory, like, horror parts, but I will share with you some of my pink-tabbed parts, which I thought were, like, good writing or relatable. I'm broke. Not the latte skipping, tightening the belt kind of broke, but the hollow, all-consuming kind. The kind of broke that eats away at your insides, makes you question the shape of your morals, smooths out the edges of what most people call acceptable. Desperation doesn't crash down all at once. It seeps in, quiet and steady, until you're choking on it, gulping for air. It tastes like who came before me. It tastes like shame. It tastes like I'm letting down not just myself, but everyone who came before me. All those ancestors who clawed through history just to get me here, just to watch me drown in a mess of my own making. I used to think about killing myself like it was something I might get around to eventually, like folding laundry or cleaning out the fridge. Not in a big dramatic way, not the kind that you dangle in front of a therapist to see if they'll flinch. It was quieter than that, more practical. A passing thought, casual and constant, like a low hum in the background, like a draft slipping under a door. Early on in the book, our main character talks about this houseless person who she sort of befriends, and she more so like admires the qualities that he has that she wishes she had in herself. Turtle talks like a man who's seen the end of the world and decided it wasn't worth reporting. He stretches out his words, rolls them around like he's savoring the weight of them before he lets them go. His sentences twist in ways that don't always make sense, but I follow them anyway, like a dog chasing a scent it doesn't recognize. Sometimes I'll say something ordinary. The weather's been weird lately, and he'll look at me like I've just handed him a riddle. Weird is good, he says, kicking his hacky sack into the air, his bare foot arcing up like it's part of some slow, sacred dance. Weird means the world hasn't gotten too comfortable. Comfortable is dangerous. Comfortable keeps you asleep when the house is on fire. I never know how to respond to him. He speaks in riddles, and I don't always have the patience to solve them. But his voice is warm, laced with something quiet and knowing, like he's peeling back a layer of the universe and letting me see inside. Cannot recommend this one highly enough, guys. I loved it. 4 down, 2 to go. Here's to hoping that the final 2 are also 5 stars. Honestly, if that happens, that would be kind of insane. But like, stranger things have happened. Okay, I'll see you when I finish the last 2. Hi everyone, I have finished the last 2 books, or rather, I have tried to finish the last 2 books. I finished We Could Be Rats by Emily Austen, did not finish Beta Vulgaris, so I guess I'll start with that one. I feel like I've started to see some reviews rolling in about this being kind of underwhelming, and a lot of people not enjoying it, so I was really trying to not let those reviews mar my experience with this book, but while I was reading this, I was just like so bored, and every time I had to go back and pick it back up, I was just like, dog, I don't want to read this. So yeah, I gave up. I did not finish it. I did not have fun with the like 30% of it that I read, so can't say I recommend this one. But We Could Be Rats was a really good time. Was this 5 stars? No. But I think it's my second favorite Emily Austen that I've ever read. So she is probably one of my favorite authors now at this point. I've read everything that she's written, at least novel-wise, and I've had a really good time. So this was unexpected in a lot of ways, mostly just because I think I go into books pretty blind, but my preconceived notions about this book were sort of accurate. So we are following 2 sisters, but mostly just this one sister as she is contemplating ending her life. The book is written in such a way that Sigrid, who is the one who is wanting to end her life, is like writing her suicide note, but it's more like journaling. It's like her trying to start her suicide note but not knowing how to do it. So it's a lot of like starting and stopping and restarting. And then throughout those attempts, she is explaining to us her life and her relationships and what has led her up to this decision. There is kind of a twist like halfway through that I quite enjoyed. I did not see that coming at all, but I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I had a really fun time with this one. This one was probably like 4.5 stars. Sorry. I tried to pick a date that would be least inconvenient for you. I was tempted to do this in December, but I drew Jerry's name for Secret Santa, and I couldn't stomach the idea of everyone unwrapping their gifts while Jerry got squat. I'm on my period. I need to wait for it to end before I can free my horses. I don't want to be buried with a tampon in. I don't think that even death could halt my period. I think my uterus would continue to shed for its usual 7 long days. Funerals are normally scheduled within the week of death, and I've got it in my head that my mom might try to bury me in a white dress because she never got to witness me make an honest woman of myself. I have this mental image of a blood spot growing across my dress as I lay in an open casket in front of everyone I've ever met. Rather than position my body and memory to suffer that humiliation, I've decided to wait for my period to stop. I wanted to look out my window and see something more interesting than potholes or dads mowing their lawns. I wanted to live among animals or with aliens, or at least around people who had bigger things to do than spray pesticides in their gardens, go to church, and complain. So yeah, I highly recommend this one, guys. I think it's really good. If you've read and enjoyed any Emily Austen, you're gonna like this one. It's a sure thing. Okay guys, so a little recap. I read some new releases, and that is kind of out of character for me. I don't usually read this many new releases in a single year, let alone back to back to back. Beta Vulgaris, I don't think you should read. You should skip it. Oh, and also The Unworthy. I don't think you should read this one either. You should skip this one. But the other 4, you should read these, guys. For sure. You should read We Could Be Rats, Strange Pictures, and Shy Girl. Those are for sures. Like, those are like required reading to graduate from Super Blomper University. You need to read these by the end of the year. The Lamb is like extra credit. You know, you could read this if you want, if it sounds interesting to you. I had fun with this one. You could read it if you want. So thank you so much for watching. You could like this video if you want. Comment. What are some new releases that you have read and enjoyed that you think I should read? I would love to hear from you. You could watch my other videos if you want. You could subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. Love you guys, and I'll see you in whatever video I make next. Bye.